Good day, dear students. Welcome to our Practical Research 1 subject. This is your teacher, Mrs. Shirley Bahia. Our lesson objectives for today. At the end of the lesson, students are expected to illustrate the processes of research, explain the different phases in research, describe the ethics practices in research and the rights of research participants, and appreciate the learnings from the given activities from your module. Vocabulary Builder. Can you guess the word or words that best describe the following statements? A series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. Answer: process. Relating to moral principles or the branch of knowledge dealing with these practices. Answer: ethical. Classifying and categorizing objects or events that have common characteristics beyond any single observation. Answer: concepts. Refers to the overall strategy utilized to carry out a research activity. Answer: design. A tentative assumption made in order to draw out and test its logical or empirical consequences. Answer: hypothesis. Research process is a systematic manner in which the researcher approaches his or her area of study to produce knowledge that the community will consider to be worthwhile within the field. Understanding such process is an important step towards executing any study. This diagram describes the 5 phases of the research process. We have first the conceptual phase, which identifies the problem, review the literature, formulate the hypothesis, develop the research framework, and determine the research purpose and objective. Next phase is the design and planning phase. This is where you select your research design, you develop study procedures, and determine the sampling and data collecting or collection plan. Next phase is the empirical phase, wherein you collect the data and you prepare the data for analysis. Next is the analytic, where you analyze data, interpret the results, and make your conclusion. And the last phase is the dissemination phase, wherein you communicate results to appropriate audience and you utilize the findings. Here is a simplified flow of the significant steps in conducting a study according to Rao. First, you define the research problem. So you look at a significant real-life problem. Factors like area of interest, availability of funds, socio-economic significance of the study, and the safety measures to be undertaken should also be considered in finding and defining a research problem. Next is you review the literature. So you have to read various publications or surf the internet to become aware of the previous works already done about the chosen topic. You may utilize different resources like science books, magazines, journals, newspapers, or even on internet. Third is you formulate hypothesis. So a hypothesis is a theoretical statement in solving a logical relationship between variables. So it should be based on the problem being solved. Next is prepare the research design. So you have to identify what is the best means to collect and analyze data in the study to clarify and improve the research problem, purpose, and questions. Example, the researcher uses an experimental design on exploring the experiences of the students in implementing EOP, or what we call English-only policy inside the classroom. Next is you collect the data. Use an appropriate data collection method to elicit the needed information. So the researcher collects data through interview or focus group discussion. Next is you analyze data. Utilize strategy and methods that make sense of the data to answer the research problem. So the researcher analyzes the data by drawing patterns and themes from the generated data. Next is you interpret and report the findings. So you put the information in perspective and present the solution to the proposed problem based on the findings of the investigation. So the researcher interprets and reports the findings based on the collected and analyzed data in order to solve the research. This is the simple diagram to describe the steps. First, define the research problem, review the literature, formulate hypothesis, prepare the research design, collect data, analyze data, and interpret and report the findings. Resnick, in 2015, in his article, What is Ethics in Research and Why is it Important? As cited by Cristobal and Cristobal in 2017, they enumerate the different reasons why it is important to follow ethical principles in writing and conducting a research. It promotes the aims of research. It upholds the values that are essential to collaborative work. It ensures that researchers can be held accountable to the public. It builds public support for each research. It promotes a variety of moral and social values. Here are some ethical codes and policies for research. Okay. Honesty, objectivity, human rights, protection, competence, non-discrimination, care, integrity, openness, respect for intellectual property, confidentiality, responsible publication, responsible mentoring, respect for colleagues, social responsibility, and legality. Plagiarism is a term that is important for every research student to know. It refers to the act of illegally using another person's ideas, works, processes, and results. Thus, it constitutes claiming an intellectual property as one's own that can be penalized through Republic Act 8293, known as the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. So you have to be aware and always be mindful when you copy notes from other authors. You have to cite their names, you have to recognize their efforts. Rights of research participants. In every aspect of life, rights and responsibilities are inseparably linked to one another. So this means that both the researcher and the participant have necessary obligations to perform as a prerequisites of their privileges in conducting research. So what are the rights of research participants? Okay. Voluntary participation. The research participant must be given the privilege to exercise their free will, whether to participate or not, in your research. Next is informed consent. The participant must be provided with sufficient information about the procedure and the risk involved in your research, if there is any. Okay, risk of harm. The research participant must be protected from any type of harm, whether it may be physical, psychological, social, or economic. And then confidentiality. The research participant must be assured of their privacy, particularly on their personal information. So the researcher must secure all the information disclosed by the participant. It should be kept confidential. Anonymity. So research participant must remain anonymous or unidentified throughout the study. So even to the researchers themselves. They have the right to keep their identity secret as they participate, especially in case of sensitive studies. Okay, generalization. Research is a key to progress in science. However, the steps taken during research must be carefully considered for its ethical methodologies and also implications. So if research is not ethically sound, then the process and the results are in question. So I hope you have learned something today from our topic. Goodbye, class. See you on our next session.